Okay.
Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. I have here Barbara Ann Briggs. She is a poet, podcaster, author, and certified consciousness advisor. With a rich 2-decade-long career in freelance journalism, her writings have graced both print and digital realms. Passionate about transcendental meditation, she's both practiced and taught it for over 30 years. Her podcast, Essence of Life, airs bi-monthly and enjoys an expanding listenership. Barbara also shares insights on her YouTube channel, Living Wisdom-Barbara Briggs. Educationally, she holds a philosophy degree from the New York University and a master's in curriculum development from Maharishi International University. Her academic pursuits led her to the faculty of Maharishi University of Natural Law in England, where she pioneered courses blending poetry, art, creativity, and consciousness. Her debut novel, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love, is well received, amassing over 2,500 likes on its Facebook page. Barbara was born in Manhattan, New York. Her mother came from Vienna, Austria, and her father from New Orleans. Needless to say, she loves music. Barbara, who currently lives in India, has traveled widely and considers herself a citizen of the universe. Thank you so much, Barbara, for joining me today.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be here.
Yes, and I am very blessed to have you because I wanted to know all about transcendental meditation because my mentor's mentor is very big on this type of meditation. And I know you were talking a little bit about it before we went on, but if you can just share what it is and how it differentiates from other meditations like visual meditation and just quiet time
Yes.
meditation.
Yes, I'd be very happy to do that. Transcendental meditation is a very simple, natural, and effortless mental technique, which is practiced for 20 minutes twice a day, sitting comfortably in a chair with the eyes closed. Absolutely anyone who can think can learn this meditation. It's so simple to learn. It comes from a very ancient tradition of knowledge. It was revived by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, whose picture you see behind me. It's a very it's practiced by over 10 million people in 100 different countries around the world. It's actually the most widely researched technique for mental development in the whole world. There have been more than 700 different scientific studies conducted in many different research universities and universities around the world. And all this research has shown conclusively that there's a holistic development of life as a result of practicing transcendental meditation. Transcendental meditation is unique because it doesn't involve any concentration or contemplation. Most other mental techniques involve holding the mind, like concentration involves holding the mind on a specific object. For instance, like staring at a candle or staring at a particular photo or holding the mind through some effort. But transcendental meditation has no concentration involved in it. It doesn't involve any effort in the process. Other techniques of meditation involve contemplation. That means thinking about a very uplifting phrase or thinking about something that can elevate one's consciousness or a passage or a quotation or just thinking about different ideas which can begin to make one's awareness more calm and more collected. Transcendental meditation is not on this level either. The difference between transcendental meditation is that the other techniques keep the mind on the surface. Like if you compare the mind to an ocean, there's surface levels of the mind, and then there are deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, quieter and quieter levels of the mind. Most of the other techniques keep the mind on the surface active level. Concentration we can compare to treading water. If you try to keep the mind on one particular object, it's similar to treading water. You know how much energy it takes to stay in one place. It takes a great deal of energy, and many people get tired as a result of concentration techniques. Contemplation is like swimming on the surface of the water. We're swimming from one idea to the other, one idea to the other. But it's still completely on the surface level of the mind. The difference between transcendental meditation is it allows the mind to take a dive to the depths of the ocean. The mind takes a dive inward. And this dive happens because during the transcendental meditation technique, we only make use of the natural tendency of the mind to go in the field of greater happiness. The deepest, most quiet levels of the mind are the most powerful levels of the mind, and pure consciousness, the deepest, most profound level of the thinking process, it has been termed as a field of Satchit Ananda, eternal consciousness of bliss. It's a field of pure bliss consciousness. And this is the very reason that everyone's mind, once we take the correct angle and we let go, the mind automatically goes in the direction of pure consciousness. Everyone's mind goes in the direction of greater and greater happiness, greater and greater creativity, more intelligence, and more energy. And the field of pure consciousness is the field of unbounded awareness, awareness free from all boundaries. And it's a field of pure bliss. It's a field of perfect balance. It's a field of infinite orderliness. It's a field in which we're in tune with the total potential of natural law. So this is why it's so easy to practice transcendental meditation. It's diving to the depths of the ocean. And the result of this practice is that as a result of experiencing quieter and quieter and quieter levels of the thinking process regularly twice a day, the conscious capacity of the mind expands. Whereas normally psychologists say we're only using 5 or 10% of our mental potential. That's only the surface level of the mind, and people don't use the deeper levels of the mind. Or perhaps great scientists like Einstein might have used 30, 35, or 40% of his mind because he was able to plunge to the deeper levels. But most of us aren't able to contact that level. But as a result of meditating, the conscious capacity of the mind expands so that rather than only using 5 or 10% of our mental potential, we begin to use more and more and more of the full value of the mind. And that's how we're able to solve all the problems we encounter during the day. We're able to carry that calm collectedness that we experience during meditation out into our daily activity. And then we begin to live life in greater fullness, with greater happiness, greater creativity, more energy during the day, and more intelligence to solve all the problems that we encounter in our day-to-day life. So
Wow,
that's a kind of introduction.
that is beautifully said. Thank you so much, Barbara, for sharing that, because I'm now delving into the whole consciousness and the awareness, and I've transformed tremendously from when I used to drink alcohol, which obviously I had no awareness. But once I became sober-minded and started, having a mentor, and then started doing breathing practices and some meditation practices as well, and really understanding who I am as a spiritual being, I was able then to really look at the world differently. And it was beautiful because I'm just like, wow, I'm realizing that it's not just about my spirit, it is about all the spirits as a collective, and how together we can create things or we can destroy things. Can you talk a little bit more about the consciousness and the collective consciousness, actually?
Yes, that's a very beautiful point, Gina. And it's beautiful that you've arrived at that yourself, because this is what I'm speaking about very, very often on my YouTube channel, Living Wisdom with Barbara Briggs. And I recently made a tape on the cosmic web of life. And I also had an article published in the Mind, Body, Spirit journal in England called The Interwoven Fabric of Life. And this is exactly what I was mentioning, how each individual contributes to the collective consciousness of the whole world. Just as we know that a green forest is made of individually green trees, a peaceful world is made of peaceful people. And in order to gain peace, there must be happiness inside, because without happiness, we won't be peaceful. So we need a way of gaining greater happiness and greater fulfillment in our own lives. And with this greater fulfillment, we'll be radiating that positive influence into the whole world. My guru says being happy is one of the greatest contributions we can make to the world, because we can counterbalance all the anxiety, the fear, the negativity, the worry that has been has leaves the whole world in a state of uncertainty and doubt about the future. So we really need to find a way to expand our consciousness. And consciousness is the very basis of life. Consciousness is that inner wakefulness of the mind, that awareness. Without consciousness, we couldn't perceive, we couldn't appreciate, we couldn't evaluate, we couldn't do anything without consciousness. Consciousness is the very foundation of our lives. So we have to have a way to expand our consciousness. And this is exactly what transcendental meditation does. It enables everyone to experience the simplest state of human awareness. And that simplest state is pure consciousness, unbounded awareness, pure being, pure existence, the field of pure intelligence. In fact, the founder of quantum field physics has compared the whole universe to a big mind. The whole universe is a field of intelligence, which is infinitely percolating within itself. And through this infinite self-interacting dynamics of the field of intelligence, the whole vast realm of diversity is created through the self-interacting dynamism of the field of intelligence. So when we practice meditation, what we do is we experience that field of intelligence within ourselves. And this is the very unique feature of the human nervous system. Only the human nervous system has the ability to experience self-referral, pure consciousness. This is the gift of the human nervous system. And we have to use that gift so that we can elevate our own consciousness. We can free ourselves from all the limitations and restrictions which the mind has adopted as if they were real, and we can begin to experience the full value of life and begin to live life in that state of full awareness.
Oh, I love that. And speaking of your YouTube channel, I was actually on there. I wanted to see some of your videos. Very beautiful content. I loved it. And one of them that struck me was the different levels of the mind. And I was like, I didn't know that mine had different levels. Well, I kind of did, because sometimes my mind would talk negatively to me, and then sometimes it'd be like on my side as my cheerleader. Can you talk a little bit about the different levels that we have in our mind?
Yes, there are many different levels of the mind. According to the Vedic knowledge, there's the level of the surface thinking mind. That's called the Vaikari level. And then there's the level of the level of the intellect and the mind, which is called I think that's the Pashyanti level. And then there's the level of Madhyama, the deeper level of feeling, the level of our emotions. And then there's a level of para, the transcendental level, the level which transcends language. That's the level of pure consciousness. The mind is structured in layers, and we have different layers of the mind which we tap. The level which is closest to that transcendental level is the level of Pashyanti. It's the level of in which the emotions sometimes we have a fine feeling or intuition about something, and that's the level in which the intellect isn't working, but there's a level of feeling. Sometimes we've all had, oh, I feel this is right, or I feel this is the right direction to go in, oh, I feel I should do this. That's the emotional level. It's very close to the level of transcendental pure being, or the level of pure consciousness. And then there's the level of Madhyama, the level of the there's the anyway, the terms aren't important, but it's mainly there's an emotional level, then there's the intellectual level in which we're thinking and deciding, and then there's a more surface level of speech. So it's just that when we meditate, we begin to experience quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter levels of the thinking process, until ultimately we transcend thought and we experience a level of infinite silence, the level of pure consciousness, the level of pure being. And it's a very pleasing experience. It's a very calming experience. But what's important is that people experience this level of pure consciousness many times in one sitting of meditation. But it's not even that. The important thing is after we finish our meditation, we begin to bring those qualities of calmness, of collectedness of mind, of more creativity, of more energy, more intelligence, more awareness into our daily activity. So it's like a gardener. He waters the root of the flower to enjoy the fruit. And we meditate to enjoy the effects when we come out into activity. After our meditation, we're able to bring those values of happiness, calmness, energy, um, broad comprehension, the ability to focus sharply, that value of greater self-actualization into our activity. People find their performance is better at work. People find students find their academic performance increases. People find that habits, which they may have had, which were not good for health, like smoking or drinking alcohol or taking any drugs, these types of habits spontaneously begin to fall away. We don't even consciously make an effort. We just find, oh, I don't want that anymore. Oh, I have no reason to engage in this because I don't feel like taking this drink. I have no motivation to smoke anymore because I just don't want to do it. I feel it's hurting my physiology. I don't want to engage in these drugs because it doesn't make me feel good anymore. I don't need it. I'm feeling great. So it's this type of way that these habits, which are hurting our system, begin to fall away. It's like when we drink, we seem to leave our problems behind. It's a sort of escape. But when we start meditating, we don't need that escape because we're feeling much better inside, and we're feeling like, what? Why should I take this? I don't need it. I just don't need it. I feel so good inside. Let me go out and take a walk. It's like we want something different. We make a choice that is supportive to our lives rather than something which is damaging our lives. So this is why I say it's an effortless process. We don't tell people to change their lifestyle. We don't ask them to become vegetarian, nothing like this. We just say, take the practice, do the practice 20 minutes twice a day and just see what happens. Actually, you don't even have to believe it works. Skeptics come and they say, well, I'm very skeptical about this. I have a lot of doubt. I'm fine. Doubts are fine. Just begin the practice and see what happens.
Yes,
So,
begin the practice, because a lot of fear and then the ego comes, and then they're just like, oh, I don't, and they become skeptical, like you say. But so I'll tell you a little story. I used to hate having to do breathing exercises. I was like, this is annoying. I don't, it hurts and this and that. But like, as you said, as I was practicing and practicing and practicing, and I was doing Wim Hof breathing at the time, I love it. And I do it every day. And I feel so good. And then I'll have that quiet moment where I'm just like holding my breath and I feel like I'm in like space, but I feel so centered and I feel so wonderful afterward. And I'm just like, what was I thinking? It's just a matter of that practice and then getting into it. And like you make your bed every day, like you brush your teeth, you take a shower. It's just a practice. And once you implement good, healthy habits like that, your life actually starts to change and you start feeling much better. Your mind, your body, your spirit, all of it comes in alignment. So, and I love that. And I listened more about my intuition. And I love what you were talking about also about how the language of the heart is actually your intuition. And that's your higher self speaking to you. Is that correct?
yes. Intuition is a very fundamental level of the mind, a very deep level of the mind, and it is very close to that level of para, that level of pure consciousness. So many times when people have intuitions about what they should do and what they feel is the best direction for their lives, sometimes they're really on the right track. But as far as meditation goes, we don't think about any problems during meditation. It's just like, as I said, after meditation, your intuition might become more correct and even more aligned with your higher self. So that when you have that experience of pure consciousness, it's enlivening those deeper levels of the mind. So all the different faculties become sharper and more just moving in the totally right direction, because your whole life is moving more and more in attunement with natural law, because that field of pure consciousness is the field of the total potential of natural law, is lively at that deepest level of nature. And our actions become more in harmony with all the laws of nature. So we begin to think in the direction which is going to be most helpful for our lives. And the beautiful thing about TM is, it's no analyzing, there's no intellectualizing involved. It's a simple, innocent, and natural process which works for everyone. And there's nothing to do with any psychotherapy or we don't even have to know which knots in the system are dissolving. We just practice the technique and the knots begin to dissolve. And that's the innocence of the practice. And that's why anyone can learn to meditate, absolutely anyone. And even children from the age of 10 years old can learn this meditation. They only practice it for about 10 minutes. But it's so simple and natural because, as I mentioned, the mind naturally gravitates toward pure happiness, toward pure being, toward bliss. Everyone wants more bliss. No one wants less out of life. Everyone wants more intelligence, more happiness, more energy, more creativity. And because this is the natural tendency of the mind to move in the direction of more and more and more, and basically to experience unbounded awareness free from all boundaries. Who doesn't want that? Everyone wants that. Everyone wants that.
Yes, they call it expansiveness, right?
Yeah, expanding the awareness toward unboundedness, freedom from all
Yes.
limitations.
Yes, because in our world right now, it's like a lot of people are very tense, they're very stressed. And, I tend to pick up a lot of energies when I go out, and I don't let it affect me at all. I've gotten to a level where it's like, I mean, it won't affect me. I won't allow it to affect me. But for others that are just so stressed, what are some simple ways that they can also implement in their practices that will help them relax? I know we talked about TM, but is there anything else that anyone else can do?
Yes, there are many ways that one can relax more. And one way is we actually have something called the Veda app on the which you can download. And the Veda app, the Maharshi Veda app, has all the different sounds from Gandharva Veda. And Gandharva Veda is the Indian classical, no, the Gandharva Veda is Indian classical music, but on the Maharshi Veda app, it has many different sounds, Vedic sounds, chanted by the Vedic pundits. And the Vedic pundits are the custodians of this Vedic knowledge. And these Vedic chants are chants which are recited in Sanskrit, the most ancient language in the whole world. All languages evolved from Sanskrit. And the Vedic pundits are reciting different aspects of the Vedic literature, like Samaveda. Samaveda is a particular branch of the Veda which actually does help the whole physiology to settle down and to become very calm and quiet inside. And we have all the different branches of the Vedic literature recited on the Maharshi Veda app. And we also have Indian classical music on the same app. And the different expressions of the Gandharva Veda. Gandharva Veda should actually be played at different times of the day. They're like rain ragas, which can be played at any time of the day. And these rain ragas have even succeeded in eliminating a drought. People played the rain raga over and over again. It even made the rain come. Then there are other ragas which played at different times of the day, and the Indian classical music is very gentle and it's very soothing to the whole system. Anyone can download the Maharshi Veda app, and they even the sounds are played at the appropriate time of the day, like their morning ragas, their afternoon ragas, their evening ragas. And on the Maharshi Veda app, they're played at the specific time they're supposed to be played. So this is one way you can use in your own home. You can play the Maharshi Vedic sounds and the Maharshi Gandharva Veda, and this is very soothing to the whole system.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
one aspect you can introduce very easily. You can download that. The other thing is to release stress in the physiology. One way is by drinking boiled water during the day. People accumulate toxins from the food they eat. I know in America there's so many foods which are genetically modified. There are so many foods that have pesticides and herbicides. And I know people try to buy the organic food, but it's very expensive. It's hard to get. So one way you can eliminate the buildup of toxins in the physiology, which do these toxins do affect the mind-body connection, of course, is by having a flask of boiled water near your desk or near wherever you're working. And during the day, take sips of boiled water every 15 minutes or every half an hour. And this will begin to wash away the effects of the toxins. This is very good for healing the physiology and removing toxins. It begins to wash away accumulated toxins in the physiology. So anyone can do that. You just keep a flask of boiled water. You take sips every half an hour, every 15 minutes. You only have to take a few sips, but do it regularly. So that's one way of eliminating the toxins. And as far as relaxing, there are breathing exercises. You can put your hand on one part of your body, over your heart, and the other hand over your abdomen, and you can take you can just breathe in and out softly, no effort, no control, just very easily. When you feel some upsetting experience, you just put one hand on your heart, one hand on your abdomen, and you just take you just breathe in and out slowly. In with your nose and out with your mouth slightly open. You just put one hand on your heart and one hand on your abdomen, and you breathe in and out slowly. That will calm the whole physiology. That will create a calmness in the whole physiology. The other thing you can do is I do yoga asanas. I can't show the yoga asanas on this on this video, but the yoga asana is also very helpful in calming the body. And the last yoga asana is the rest pose, where you just lie flat on your back with your palms up and your legs astride, and you just lie down on the floor on a mat, and you just lie down for 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, just in the rest pose. And this will alleviate any stress, and it'll just help you to feel very calm. You just lay there for 5 minutes with your palms up, and you just breathe normally. And the rest pose is very good for releasing any stress which you might have gained during the day.
Wow. You're
And
right about that
actually,
one too. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. And during the day, happiness increases immunity.
Mm-hmm.
You just, even if you don't feel that tremendous, put a smile on your face and your body will begin to feel happy. That's how the body responds. It responds just like that. Let's say if someone just says something you didn't like and you say, oh, and then your whole body
Yes.
will start laughing. So you can have a reaction. Just say, I don't want that reaction because it's going to affect my physiology. And you just put a smile on your face. You have a beautiful smile,
Oh,
and you
thank you.
just put a smile on your face, and your whole body will begin to smile. So this is how the mind-body connection works. And a great saint said, just put your smile, and your body will begin to feel happier. And Maharshi does say, happiness is one of the greatest contributions you can make to world peace. If everyone would just be happier in spite of what's happening, don't listen to the news if it upsets you, and just don't read the newspaper about all the bad things that are happening, but just read some positive, read some quotations by some of the saints, and or listen to a YouTube by a saint, and you'll feel much happier right away. Or come to my YouTube channel.
Yes, good. I was gonna say, go to your YouTube channel. I was looking like, oh
Yeah,
wow, it's
and
such wonderful
I'm
information.
trying to, yes, I'm trying to radiate positive news and things that can be helpful. And, you just, your life is in your own hands. You have your mastery over your life, and you can determine which way your life flows and take that mastery into your hands and really begin to move in the direction you want your life to go in. It's mind over matter. If you just tell yourself, okay, I feel great today, you will feel great. You'll begin to feel great. And you just have to move in that direction. You just have a vision of how you want your life to be, and it'll begin to move into that direction. And we have that mastery, and we have to accept that we can determine our life goal and our life aim and where we want our life to go. And we can make a vision statement, my life in 5 years, and see how your life begins to move in that direction. And it really will. Especially if we're
Yes.
meditating as well.
Oh yes, you'd be surprised. Like there's some, they call them quantum like leaps or quantum jumping, where things just happen
Yes,
that's for on your favor. Yeah.
and actually, when I started to meditate many, many years ago, one of the first things I noticed was that my desires began to be fulfilled much more rapidly. That's the first thing I noticed. I was getting my desires fulfilled much more quickly. And Maharshi says this is actually a sign of higher states of consciousness, that your desires get fulfilled, and you just feel that inner fulfillment in enlightenment. You feel that inner fulfillment all the time, 24 hours a day. You're just in that state of fullness of life, in inner fulfillment and outer fulfillment.
Yes, yes, it's true. It is true. The only time I start feeling kind of wonky is when my menstrual cycle is about to start and I'm hormonal and I get a little bit cranky, but otherwise I feel like I'm getting better and better when it comes to my mood and I'm not being as snappy. It's just during that time. And that's when I started to breathe a little bit more during that day.
Actually, there was a study done on hormonal balance. And actually, there was a study on TM and hormonal balance. And actually, hormonal balance begins to even out when we start to meditate. Everything in the physiology goes into a state of greater balance. There's
Wow.
more emotional well-being. There's more ability to cope with stress, so that even if a stressful situation comes up, we have more ability to cope with it. And the cognitive functioning increases, and our fulfillment in our personal relationships also increases. So it really does affect the whole realm of life. Every area of life is affected.
It's so true. It's so true. Now I want to pivot towards your book, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love. Can you talk a little bit about your book?
Oh, I'd be more than happy to speak about my book. This is my book, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love. It's a story of a woman who travels alone to India, and after many challenges and soul-stirring experiences, she emerges triumphant with a much deeper understanding of her purpose in life and the meaning of true love. So I wrote this book in the Himalayas, in my
Wow.
travels to the Himalayas, and I really poured my soul into the book. It speaks about many different aspects of spiritual life. I speak about my meditation experiences during the book. I speak about the relationship between human love and divine love. I speak about my experience of Tibetan Buddhism. I just accidentally stumbled onto Tibetan Buddhism, though I had no awareness of this at all before. It just happened. And I speak about the difference between material wealth and spiritual wealth. And I go
Mhm.
into many different aspects of the spiritual journey in this book. And I've had some wonderful, I actually had some wonderful reviews of the book. One person, I got a 5-star review from the reader's favorite reviewer, and he said, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love is a portal to an artfully detailed world of beauty, love, and awareness. I call it a portal because it felt like I stepped into one from the moment I picked up the book. I was immersed in the realistic depictions, poetic words, and colorful backgrounds. My favorite feature of Pilgrimage on the Path of Love is how in sync it is. The relaxed progression of the story correlates perfectly with the peaceful mood of the protagonist and her consistent striving to return to a balanced state of mind. Barbara Ann Briggs writes for the free spirits, adventure enthusiasts, and wisdom and spiritual depth seekers. The audience is encouraged to love and embrace others, regardless of their religious beliefs. And this core message is key to achieving world peace. I recommend it to the world.
That is
So,
beautiful. Wonderful reviews. I'm gonna have to get your
yeah,
book
I
myself.
got many beautiful reviews for this book, and I was really touched by the reviews. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's just, one person in India, I got this review. This is my first review from New Delhi. She said, written lucidly, this book is the perfect amalgamation of spiritual awakening and self-discovery. What stands out in the narrative is her utmost optimism and unshaken faith in God. When faced with difficulties, she surrenders herself to Him and derives energy from her firm belief that the right path will be illuminated by the Creator. Having read a few books on esoteric spirituality, this book came to me as a breath of fresh air with its simple narrative and profound spiritual insights. Pilgrimage on the Path of Love introduces the spiritual ethos of India to the world and even to Indians who have forgotten the sacred presence of divinity in this land.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful. Oh, yes. And I would love to then also gift this book to like friends of mine. I'm sure they'll absolutely love it. Oh, I can talk
Yeah,
to
I
you
think
forever because it's like, oh, I love wisdom. So-
so. I'd love you to get the book, and I'd love you to add your review.
oh, yeah.
I'd love to have your feedback on what you enjoyed about the book.
Yeah,
That
what
would make me
stood
very
out to
happy.
me. Yeah, well, a lot of things are already standing out to me around just with this conversation. But as we wrap up this enlightening conversation, by the way, on consciousness and love and, just the divine being that we have within us, could you share with our listeners?
Exactly.
Yeah, can you share with our listeners like one transformative insight or experience that has most profoundly deepened your understanding of consciousness and how they can embark on a journey to explore and expand their own?
Well, one profound experience which has expanded my awareness. Well, I've had many experiences over the years, and to pick one would be difficult for me because each meditation is unique and each experience is unique. When I was in Ladakh, when and I described this experience actually in my book. I have to say that one of the most powerful meditations experiences I've ever had in my life, I had in Ladakh. And I don't know if I've written this experience in my in my book, but I've no, I've had many experiences, but I had one experience when I was in Ladakh, when I was at the highest in the mountains that I've ever
Wow.
been, and I meditated in that Himalayan abode. During my meditation, I experienced that my whole awareness just expanded out to the farthest reaches of the universe. I felt like I was no longer this separate individual body that could be defined in space. I felt like my whole body dissolved into the outer reaches of the universe, and I felt like I was one the whole, with all that is. And it was such a powerful experience. It just made me realize that, who am I? I am that unbounded, eternal, infinite reality which transcends time and space. I was never born. I will never die. I am eternal, and I am imperishable, and nothing can harm me because I exist beyond that realm of time and beyond the realm of space. And this experience deepens as we continue on our path to enlightenment. This experience of who we really are, that we are that which can not be measured by any instrument. We are that which cannot be harmed, which cannot be limited, which cannot be defined. We are that essence of life itself. And when we realize that, then we begin to live the value that we're destined to live, the value that this nervous system has within it, this gift that is given to every human being to live and experience the farthest dimensions of the universe, to experience that we are unchanging and immortal and eternal and infinite. And in the state of enlightenment, we have that awareness all the time. I had it at that time. Sometimes it comes to me again. But this experience can be lived on a day-to-day basis. And one of the reasons that I love India so much is because in this country of India, there have been more saints who have actually lived that state of enlightenment. More saints have experienced that full value of human life, probably than any other country in the world.
Oh,
and
wow.
People have left their homes even at 8, 10, 12 years old in search of that divine mystery of life, in search of that state of self-realization, in search of that state of enlightenment. And that's why this country has ingrained within it the spiritual value of all those saints who have walked on the surface of this ground. And that's what attracts me to India, the spiritual knowledge that is embedded in the Indian culture, in the Vedic culture, and the spiritual literature which speaks about the value of who we really are as human beings. And that full value of consciousness is embedded in the Vedic tradition of knowledge.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Barbara, for joining me today. Now, if people want to go ahead and find your book, or if they want to go ahead and just follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Well, my website is barbaraannbriggs.com. Everyone can go to my website. My podcast is essenceoflife.buzzsprout.com. My podcasts are also listed on my website. They can also find my podcast link on my website, barbaraannbriggs.com. You can visit me on my YouTube channel, which is called Living Wisdom-Barbara Briggs. And please come and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd love to have you join my YouTube community. And my book is on Amazon. My book, Pilgrimage on the Path of Love. It can be found on Amazon and all the Amazon links in America, in England, in India. And the book can be ordered through Amazon. So I'm so happy I was able to share this with you today. I'm also on Instagram, Barbara Ann Briggs Books on Instagram. And I'm also on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. So you can find me on all those social media websites. And I'd love to have you join me on my Facebook page. My Facebook page is barbarabriggs.524. And you can join my Facebook page, and I'd be happy to have you there as well.
Wonderful.
So it's been a great pleasure to speak to you today.
Yes,
great pleasure.
I could say namaste.
Namaste, as we say in India, namaste, and all very, very best wishes to you. And thank you so much for your kind invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara.